Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin mi naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I am your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez. Now, Alberto is the owner of the La Palapa group of restaurants here in Puerto Vallarta. Those are the La Palapa, the El Dorado restaurant, and at night for dinner, the El Dorado transforms into the ever-so-romantic Vista Grill, with those dramatic views of Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors. Of course, at La Palapa, you can enjoy that same view of the Los Muertos Pier all day long, for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's just so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week, I have a very special guest. Her name is Sofia Boettner, and she is with Grupo La Palapa, and she's going to be talking about their beautiful property, La Troza, which is south of Puerto Vallarta. It's actually just north of Playa Las Animas. But before we get to that conversation, let's see what's happening today, this week, November 29th, 2017 in Puerto Vallarta. Last week, I promised you that I would talk about the pilgrimage, the 12-day pilgrimage of Our Lady de Guadalupe, the one that is going to be celebrated in Puerto Vallarta for 13 days. Well, in Puerto Vallarta, there's this beautiful church, and it serves as an icon. It's part and parcel of the landscape. It's the center of all the tourist brochures, and everybody wants a picture of this church. It's the Iglesias de Nuestra Senora de Guadalupe, and that is the church of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And because of the name and dedication to the Lady of Guadalupe, it's been one of those places in Mexico, besides the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City, which is grand and just huge. If you ever go to Mexico City, you got to check it out. And it's the grounds are remarkable. Anyway, the faithful make their pilgrimage to honor the occasion, the event that changed Mexico forever and entwined Mexico with the Catholic Church. Now, I want to tell you the history of the church in Puerto Vallarta, the Iglesias de Nuestra Senora de Guadalupe. But before that, let me give you just a little history, and let me tell you the story of the miracle of Our Lady de Guadalupe, the story of Juan Diego. Now, just keep in mind that 10 years before this event took place, Hernando Cortez had just conquered Mexico City and just defeated Montezuma. And in 1523, Franciscan missionaries came and evangelizing, and they came to evangelize and to convert the Indian people who were living there, and they were really good at it. They set up a archdiocese right there in Mexico City, established in 1528. Now, Juan Diego and many of his family members were among the early native converts to Catholicism. This is the story about Juan Diego. He was baptized, Juan Diego, his given name by the church. His name was something other than that. It was an Indian name, and I can't pronounce it, and I'm not even going to try. But Juan Diego was baptized in 1525, along with his wife and his uncle. Now remember that he had grown up under the Aztec oppression, and the Aztecs were not really nice people, okay? In fact, they would cut the hearts out of their sacrifices, their human sacrifices, while they were still alive. It was pretty gross. They were a bloodthirsty civilization. It was said that over 50,000 human beings were sacrificed, having their hearts cut out every year. They had these pyramids and these altars on these pyramids, and they would take these sacrifices up there and cut their hearts out. It was awful. And if you can imagine back in 1487, before Cortez arrived, Juan Diego would have witnessed all of this chaos, all of this bloodthirsty behavior. It must have totally shocked the Spaniards, no end, when they got there, the conquistadors. In 1520, Cortez outlawed human sacrifice. He took the idols out of the pyramids. He had them clean the stone of all of the blood, and erected a new altar. And then Cortez, along with his soldiers and a Father Olmedo, climbed the stairs of the pyramid with the Holy Cross and the images of the Virgin Mary and St. Christopher. And on this new altar, Father Olmedo held a mass right there in the place where all of the sacrifices and all this bloodshed had taken place, all this tragic loss of life. And he held a bloodless, deathless mass right there, which did not make the Aztecs very happy, I must say. It sparked an all-out war, as a matter of fact. And once again, Cortez had to subdue the enemy. But in August of 1521, he was able to stop the fighting. Okay, now let's get to the story of Juan Diego, okay? Now, Juan Diego was headed to Mass, and on his way to Mass, he would walk past Tepeyac Hill on the outskirts of Mexico City. And on this one morning, in the early morning hours of December 9th, 1531, this 57-year-old Indian peasant was walking along and started to hear beautiful music. And he saw a beautiful lady who called out his name. He came forward, and she told him who she was, and that she was the Virgin Mary, the mother of Jesus, and she asked him to go to the bishop and ask the bishop to build a church right there at Tepeyac Hill to honor her. Now, Juan Diego went to talk to the bishop, and Bishop Zumarraga was a nice guy, and when Juan Diego came, he listened, and he said that he'd think about it. He probably didn't believe him, of course, and he sent Juan Diego on his way. And when Juan Diego went back past Tepeyac Hill and reported what the bishop had said to Mary, she told him to try again. So the next day, although it was harder because, well, the bishop made him wait a long, long time, he told the bishop the story and asked him to build the church, and this time the bishop said, "Bring back a sign from Mary to prove the story." And on December 11th, Juan Diego, instead of going back, had to care for his really sick uncle, and his uncle actually asked him to bring a priest to hear his confession and administer his final rites. So he kind of blew off Mary. But the following day, on December 12th, as Juan Diego went back to Mass, left his home again, he was a little embarrassed, so he avoided Tepeyac Hill. And Mary actually came up, cut him off at the pass and says, "Hey, don't worry, it's okay, all right? You don't have to worry about your uncle. He's going to be fine. In fact, his health is restored right now. So just do as I ask. Now, for the sign for the bishop, go to the top of the hill there and pick some flowers. So Juan Diego went to the top of this hill, which was, covered with snow, they say, and with cactus, and it was barren, but he actually found some beautiful roses there. And he gathered them up in his poncho, they call it a tilma, and he brought the roses back in his poncho, and Mary arranged them and then rewrapped them up and handed them to him and said, now take these to the bishop and tell him that I want my church. And so Juan Diego went back, and he waited even longer this time. Finally, when he had a chance and another audience with the bishop, he repeated the message, and he opened up his tilma, and out spilled these beautiful roses. And the bishop not only saw the flowers, but he also saw the image of Mary, Our Lady de Guadalupe, had been emblazoned on the tilma, on this guy's poncho. And so the bishop fell to his knees, and he asked for forgiveness for ever doubting Juan Diego. Then he took the tilma, and he laid it on the altar of his chapel. And by Christmas of that year, an adobe structure was built on top of Tepeyac Hill in honor of Blessed Mother, Our Lady de Guadalupe. It was dedicated in December, on December 26th, 1531, which is the feast of Saint Stephen the Martyr. So when Juan Diego saw his uncle next, his uncle actually indeed had recovered, and he told the story about how the Virgin had appeared before him and made him well. So December 9th marks the feast day of St. Juan Diego, and December 12th, the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. This historical event was just so important in bringing more and more people, more and more of the Indians into the Catholic faith. And it was the tipping point right then in the history of Catholicism and in Mexico. And in Mexico City, as I said, the Basilica of Our Lady de Guadalupe is huge, and the faithful come from all over Mexico to make a pilgrimage to see this 400-year-old tilma, which is hanging in the basilica with the figure of the Virgin Mary, the Lady of Guadalupe, emblazoned on it. You can see them. The faithful crawl on their knees to the basilica. At least some of them do. I have a video of that. It shows how it's celebrated in Mexico City. But to tell you a little bit about how it's celebrated in Puerto Vallarta, I called my buddy Dee from Poland, Ohio. And Dee is as much of a Vallarta fan as I am. We met on the TripAdvisor Puerto Vallarta forum. And so anyway, we've never met in person, but I follow her adventures in Vallarta, and I know that Dee is a believer, and she just loves this event. So I asked her to come on and tell us what happens during the 12-day pilgrimage in Puerto Vallarta. So let's go to Poland, Ohio, and talk with Dee.
Thanks, Barry, for allowing me to talk to you. Someday I hope to finally meet you.
Yeah, it'll happen.
As far as processions go, I was a little blind to the fact that I thought you could just walk in the processions. You could just join in with anybody. And what I found when I went there in 2014 was that it was in groups. Hotels went together and they did what they wanted to do. For example, the Red Cross had a banner and they were doing it. And I was fortunate enough, because I'm very close to the Paracel boys that are on Los Mirtos in front of Daiquiri Dick's, to be invited. It was my husband, my brother, and I, and we were able to wear the T-shirts, the Maranata T-shirts, and march with them on the actual day, December 12th. And we sang along with them. You know, you'll hear that song over and over again. Desde cielo hermoso mañana, and it goes on and on and on, and it tells the story of what actually happened with Our Lady Guadalupe and why she is so revered today by the people in Mexico.
Yeah, wow. So what goes on? Are there lots of, you said you marched in the procession. Are there processions every night?
They run from December 1st through December 12th, and they actually have a program or a schedule. I don't even want to call it a program, a schedule that lists what families do it together, what businesses, and so you can actually follow along there, and it will let you know who is processing. If you want to watch, it's a huge deal. In the middle where the gazebo is, they have food, they have all kinds of desserts. It's just a big party festival.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so it must be really crowded. I imagine it gets really packed with everybody, not just tourists, but probably people come from all around, don't they?
Exactly. And I'm trying to remember the date when it actually happened. It might have been December 10th, but the runners from Guadalajara that carry the torches, they run all the way down from Guadalajara and run, and there's this bunch of cheering going on and hooting and hollering and all that as they run through the procession. Then on December 12th, runners actually, and Mexico City, what is it, 10 hours away?
Right.
Come down with the torches, and they also run through, and there's a big celebration with that. You'll see little girls dressed up as Our Lady of Guadalupe, the little children, maybe a little boy will have a mustache drawn on, and he'll be holding a rose, sitting on the back of a pickup truck as they go by. You'll see the Indian dancers, because that's what Mexico was at that time, were Indians that were pagans. And when she made her appearance, and the miracle that happened with it transformed this whole area that is now Mexico into followers of the Catholic faith or Our Lady of Guadalupe, however you want to look at it. And everybody is mesmerized by those processions. I know I go constantly throughout the time that I was there.
Wow. Yeah. So the processions take place during the evenings?
They go all day, because, as a matter of fact, I was parasailing one day in the afternoon, and they took me down past the church, and I looked over, and there were people walking into the church processing. So they go a day and night.
Wow. It's just because they are probably coming from everywhere, I imagine.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said that's because they're probably coming from everywhere, and because they want to make sure that everybody gets covered in town, right? Everybody gets to take their part. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just the tourists watching; it's mostly the nationals. I mean, just any tourists that happen to be there will obviously want to observe this procession, this holiday, and it's just a fun thing to see. It's shocking. Actually, it was shocking to me. So I'm really fortunate that I get to go again. I usually, like I told you, I usually travel at Christmas time, and then that didn't work out this year. So I'll be going the 9th, which is actually Juan Diego's feast day, through the 16th. But it's funny, on the 12th at midnight, well, actually it would be the 13th at midnight, it's like it never happened. Everything's cleaned up, everything's gone. But I was shocked. I went the next day there, and I went, wow, where did everything go? Wow.
Yeah, so it's, I guess after 12 days, they've all had enough, I imagine.
Oh, yeah.
But not you, Dee. You could have more, right?
Oh, yeah, I could do that all the time. I really like it. It was funny. We had done something all day. I mean, we had been busy from morning till night, and it was actually time to go to bed. And I said to my husband, I think I'm going to go to the procession. My brother, and he looked at me and said, we're not going there. And so Kansas and another friend said, we'll go with her, because I was going to go by myself. We'll go with her again. So we ended up going back.
Oh, you had some help. Well, you know what? We have to get together and have a talk, you and me in Kansas, and we'll talk a little bit about what you're doing in Puerto Vallarta real soon, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
And
Thank you so much
thanks for
talking to
coming
me.
on and letting us all know what goes on during these 12 days. I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dee. I would love to meet you, and I will look forward to doing that sometime in the future. Kansas, who she also references, is a traveling buddy of Dee's, and she also is a TripAdvisor forum, Puerto Vallarta forum area expert. So one day I'll meet those two. Anyway, the church in Puerto Vallarta's history, La Iglesia de Nuestra, Senora de Guadalupe, started in the early 20th century. The foundations of the church were started in 1903, but at the time there was already a small chapel there dedicated to the Virgin Guadalupe. And so in 1915, Father Francisco Ayala arrived, and he suggested a bigger church than the one that had been designed. And so they got to work on it, but construction stopped in 1926 during the Cristero War, and then resumed again in 1929, 3 years later. Now, I got to tell you a little bit about this Cristero War. I mean, I had never heard of it. I don't know if you had, but check this out. It seems that the revolutionaries that took over after the Spanish were ousted were they were distrustful of the clergy. They wrote in their constitutions limits and restrictions on the Catholic Church and on religious freedoms, in fact. And most of the presidents, post-independence and post-revolution, ignored the laws and these particular limits. But President Plutarco Elias Calles, in 1924, really disliked the Catholic Church, and he tried to destroy the Church's influence over the Mexican people by enacting these anti-clerical laws that were already on the books. And he started this 10-year religious conflict that resulted in the death of thousands of armed civilians. On the opposing side was an armed professional military sponsored by the government, Calles. And anyway, Calles applied the anti-clerical laws very stringently throughout the country, and he added his own. In June of 1926, he signed the law reforming the penal code, known unofficially as Calles' Law. This provided specific penalties for priests and individuals who violated the provisions of the 1917 Constitution. For instance, wearing clerical garb in public, in other words, outside of a church building, earned a fine of 500 pesos. That was like $250 US in that time. Now, a priest who criticized the government could be imprisoned for 5 years. Some states enacted oppressive measures. In Chihuahua, they enacted a law permitting only one single priest to serve an entire Catholic congregation of the state. To help enforce the law, Calles seized church property, expelled all foreign priests, and closed the monasteries and convents and religious schools. The effects of the war on the church were profound. Between 1926 and 1934, at least 40 priests were killed. There were 4,500 priests serving. Actually, right there, they were serving the people before the rebellion, but by 1934, there were only 334 licensed by the government to serve 15 million people. The rest had been eliminated by immigration, expulsion, and assassination. By 1935, 17 Mexican states had no priests at all, believe it or not. Now, the rebellion eventually ended by diplomatic means brokered by United States Ambassador to Mexico, Dwight Whitney Morrow, with financial relief and logistical assistance, get this, provided by the Knights of Columbus. On June 27, 1929, church bells rang in Mexico for the first time in almost 3 years. The war had claimed the lives of some 90,000 people, 56,882 on the federal side, and 30,000 cristeros, and numerous civilians and cristeros who were killed in anti-clerical raids after the war ended. The Calles law remained on after the resolution of hostilities, but no organized federal attempts to enforce it took place. Nonetheless, in several localities, officials continued the persecution of Catholic priests based on their interpretation of the law. And in 1992, the Mexican government amended the Constitution by granting all religious groups legal status, conceding them limited property rights and lifting restrictions on the number of priests in the country. So how about that? Did you know anything about that Cristero War? I had no clue. Anyway, so the building of the church, the Iglesias de Nuestra, Senora de Guadalupe, continued again. They got back to work on it. By 1940, the whole building was finished except the two towers. And it wasn't until 1963 that the symbol of the crown, that has given the city its identity and blessed it, had finally been added. The original crown on the church was damaged by weather and erosion and was restored in 1981. And then on October 9th of 1995, it fell off. It was destroyed by a strong earthquake, which happened in Colima. It was replaced with a temporary fiberglass model. And then since then, because the fiberglass one was becoming worn and starting to kind of melt, sag, it was replaced with the crown that was sculpted by a famous Jaliscan artist, Carlos Terres. Okay? All right. Enough of this. Let's get on with our show, shall we? All right. When I was hiking from Boca de Tamatlan to Las Animas, I passed by this really, really beautiful place just before I got to Las Animas. It's located in a little covelet, and it's this little mini resort. I sent an email to La Troza, and lo and behold, I got an answer from someone I already knew. It was Sofia Boettner, and Sofia is with Grupo La Palapa, and she was my first contact with La Palapa way back when I was looking for a theme song for this show. I actually had two theme songs that I had chosen for the show, and I sent out emails to La Palapa and Alberto Perez, and another email went to, I'm not going to tell you. I won't say who it is. I'm just going to say that it was another very famous restaurant here in Vallarta, and they have this incredible harp player and singer, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Now you can all guess. At any rate, I heard back from Sofia right away about the song Samba de Puerto Vallarta, and she said that Mr. Perez said sure, that I could use the song as long as I gave credit to the artist, him, and to his restaurant. And so, as you know, before each episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show, I give a shout-out to Grupo La Palapa because I love that song. And I think I just do this podcast just so I can listen to the song every week. I don't know about you, but that's why I do it, okay? Now, with that said, I hope that all you listeners know that I interview these people, these tour venues, these hotels, restaurants, the restaurateurs, the artists, the authors that I bring on the show because I like them and because I want you to know about them. I don't get anything from these people. I don't get money. I don't get food. I don't get booze. I don't get accommodations. Nada. Okay? Nothing. I refuse any of that because I want to be independent. I always insist on paying my own way. So just keep that in mind when you listen to the show. I mean, you can ask anybody that I've had on the show that I have no agenda other than to bring you guys interesting guests, great information, and all that good stuff about your favorite place, which is Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So getting back to Sofia, hey, let's get to our interview. And let's get to a table, if you can imagine, right there at La Palapa with our toes in the sand, right at the water's edge.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. Now, I have to tell you, I was surprised to hear from you when I sent an email to La Troza asking for an interview about this property. But before we get into that, can you just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what was your path to Puerto Vallarta?
Yes, of course. Well, my name is Sofia Boettner. I was raised in Paraguay, Asunción, Paraguay. That is in South America, in the heart of South America. So I lived there until I was 18 years old, and then I went off to college in the U.S. I went to Boston University. Oh. I lived in Boston for 4 years. After that, I went to L.A. for a year. I worked in production. Then I moved to New York for a year. And after that, I ended up in Puerto Vallarta because I met my husband in college, and we just ended up coming back to his beautiful hometown. He's from Puerto Vallarta, and at first I thought it was a crazy idea. I didn't know what I was going to do here in Puerto Vallarta. I'm like, what? But I obviously fell in love with it. It's a magical, magical place. And I found somewhere to work. Grupo La Palapa is amazing, an amazing company. So I'm lucky enough to work here and enjoy all the properties. We have 3 restaurants, a shop, and a beach resort, which is La Troza.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know that La Troza is part of Grupo La Palapa, but it is. So I'm here to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, that's, I wanted to know about it. I was taking this hike, I walked right past it, and then I went, this is a beautiful, beautiful spot.
Yes,
and
it
a
is.
beautiful property. And I'm going, I need to know about this. And so, yeah, what a surprise to know that it is part of Grupo La Palapa. So that's really cool. So tell us a little bit about La Troza. It was on the way to Las Animas Beach.
La Troza is located between Boca de Tomatlan and Las Animas Beach. So that hike has been quite popular recently. So right before you get to Las Animas, you kind of cross this quite big, spectacular beachfront property, which is called La Troza. It's composed of a beach house, 2 casitas, and a villa. So it's kind of a complex, but we do rent it out as a villa. So we rent out the whole property to one group. We've had, over the past 2 years, we've only been marketing it for the past 2 years. It's a brand new property. And we've had many, many, many groups stay with us, and mostly they're families. So they're mostly family reunions from the U.S. or Canada that they kind of live all over the U.S., so they want to get together for a family reunion, for a vacation, and it's normally like the grandparents and the children and then the grandchildren. It's a very nice family get-together. We've had a couple of those, and then we've had a girls' retreat. We've had yoga retreats. We've had a business group. We've had wonderful, wonderful groups, and we include the staff. So we do have a staff quarter in the back, and so all of our waiters, our chefs, our cooks, our cleaning ladies, they all sleep over. So the idea of La Troza is kind of to have a 5-star hotel experience, but in your own resort, private resort. As many of you may know, most of the south part of the bay is only accessible by boat. So La Troza is not an exception. It's only accessible by boat or by hiking. So you can either hike for 40 minutes to get there.
With all your luggage on your back, right?
Which is very unlikely. Or you can take a 7-minute boat ride from Boca. Boca is the last point that you can get to by boat. by land, I'm sorry. So you drive to Boca de Tomatlan, and then from there we pick you up in our little panga boat, which is a little speedboat, and we take you to La Troza.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So there is only one way to do that, and that's by boat, because I am not going to take my luggage on that hike.
No, and it's a pretty hard hike.
Oh, it's okay. It's fun. You have to be in shape, but it's good. I mean, you know.
Yes, it's a great workout. I do recommend that hike to any of you out there, from Boca de Tomatlan to Las Animas, and then you can kind of lounge at Las Animas, get a bite to eat, and then you can either take a boat back or hike back.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. All right. So it's out in the boonies, in El Rancho, right? It's out there. So
yeah, that's technically Cabo Corrientes.
Cabo Corrientes.
Yes. So the property has been in the Perez family all their lives. So it's the whole mountain basically was owned or was assigned back then to Alberto's father. Alberto is the current owner of Grupo La Palapa. He's the youngest of 11 brothers and sisters.
Wow. Oh, my gosh.
So he inherited that piece of land on the beach. And then all the whole mountain is kind of divided amongst his 11 brothers and sisters. So because he's the youngest, he got the best part of the deal.
Wow.
He got the beachfront property. And he also bought the adjacent property from his brother. So he originally only had the piece of land that is on the beach, and he built that beach house. So originally La Troza was just the beach house, and this was built back in the 90s. I believe it was 1990. So that was built only for kind of their vacation home, their weekend home. They weren't renting it out at all. It was just for their use and their family's use. And then more and more, Alberto and Renee's friends wanted to go out there, and they would say, oh, just rent it out to us, please. It's such a magical place. I would like to take my family. I would like to take my parents, my kids. So they started to think about it, and they said, oh, maybe it's a good business opportunity.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are kind of wondering what La Troza is all about. They never even thought about it as a business. They just thought about it as a home for them to enjoy. But since people were kind of asking them about it, they started thinking about it as a business opportunity. And that's when, several years later, they started thinking about purchasing the adjacent property.
I see. And
expanding. So now, I would say about 4 years ago, he purchased the property. And about 2 years ago, the property was done. It was a whole production.
I'm sure.
Construction.
Well, it's gorgeous.
It's something very interesting about La Troza is that every single material, cement bag, brick, has to be transported in the little panga boat.
Oh, my God.
So not a lot of people realize how special the property is when you think about it. Every tile, every refrigerator, every, I don't know, umbrella, everything you see on the property has been taken there by this little tiny panga boat. So when you're there and you just think about that fact, it's very spectacular.
It's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing. And the detail that is in the construction, once you're there inside, like everything is thought of. Every little detail is very, very spectacular. Alberto built it himself. He's not an architect, but he has a very creative mind. He just basically drew it in a piece of paper, and with the help of his brother, who is an architect, and his nephew, who's a contractor, they just built it. And he just had this vision about where the pool was going to be, where the casitas are going to be, where the villa is going to be, where the industrial kitchen is going to be. There's a game room with a pool table. It's an amazing, amazing property. And he has been kind of building it slowly. And now we finally have the final product. And yeah, we're renting it out. We're marketing it to anybody who's interested in staying there. We do have a 3-night minimum during the year and a 7-night minimum during the holidays. We charge $58.80 a night, $5,880 a night for a standard rate, and the holiday rate is $7,880. That's for the property. Additionally, we do have a mandatory meal plan because of the location of the property. It's very remote, so you can't just go out to dinner, unfortunately. But fortunately, we do have everything included, and everything that we serve there are from our restaurants. La Palapa, Vista and El Dorado. So the quality is the best. High quality meals and snacks. So everything is included. Open bar. So you can just relax by the pool, have a drink, have a snack, whatever, coconut shrimp, anything that is available, we will serve you. Anything is possible at La Troza. And so we kind of talk to our clients beforehand. They make a list of the things that they would like, the snacks that they would like to have. We also send them a sample menu from our restaurants, and they give us their choices, and then voila.
And then you know what to do, and everybody is happy.
Everything, every group that we've had obviously has been very, very impressed. We've had 2 groups that have come back already.
Yeah, it means a lot.
So it means a lot because these high-end groups normally, and they even told us, they never repeat a property. They say, we travel all over the world. We never repeat a property just because there's so many beautiful properties out there. And 2 of them have already returned. So that means the world to us. That means that they really loved the property. They loved the staff, the food, the activities. So activity-wise, a lot of people think that because it's so remote and so secluded that it's kind of going to be boring because there's not a lot to do, but that is not true at all. We have on site, we have kayaks, we have paddle boards.
I saw those, yeah.
Yes, we have snorkeling gear. That's all included in the price. And additionally, we can arrange with other vendors like Vallarta Adventures or the Las Animas crew. We also have a fishing charter that we hire. So we can set up excursions for you guys, like surfing, fishing, scuba diving. We can do zip lining, sailboat. We can do the outdoor adventures. You can go to caletas for a day. I mean, everything that Vallarta Adventures offers, they can come pick you up from La Troza, have a private tour, or you can join a tour that starts from Boca de Tomatlan. So it's a 5-minute boat ride to Boca, which we take you, and then Vallarta Adventures can take it from there. So it's very easy to have a lot of activities. We're having a group next year of a bunch of teenagers. It's a graduation party. So they were very concerned with what will we do for a week with a bunch of teenagers. And after showing the whole list of activities, they're not worried anymore.
No,
they're like,
teenagers,
there's plenty of things to do. And also you can hike. There's waterfalls around. You can hike. You can go to Las Animas, to the nearby beaches. There's plenty to do down south. The south of the bay is pretty spectacular. If you haven't been, I would recommend visiting the south.
Yeah, well, everybody I talk to, and I happen to agree with them, that the beaches south are so beautiful, and the water is so clean and blue, and it's lovely.
Lovely.
How many rooms are there?
Okay, so as I mentioned before, it's the beach house, the 2 casitas, and the villa. The beach house has 3 master bedrooms.
Oh, wow. That's not just a little beach house.
Yeah.
That's a big beach house.
It's a big beach house. And the 3 master bedrooms have 1 king-size bed each. And then one of the rooms has a little loft that is thought out for kids. And the loft has 3 double beds.
Oh, cool.
And a little TV. And it's kind of like the attic like kind of an attic feel, but it's really cool. All the groups that we've had that have brought kids, they kind of do the movie night up there, and it's kind of cozy for them.
Yeah.
So that's the beach house. The beach house has 3 master bedrooms with a loft.
Now, do they have a view on all of those rooms?
Yes, all of our rooms, our 7 rooms, are ocean view.
Okay, very good.
All of them. So that is very important because Alberto built it that way.
Yeah.
He said all the bedrooms have to have an ocean view.
Okay.
So the beach house has actually a beach view and ocean view. So because it's right in front of the beach. Then after that, it's the first casita number 1, and that's just 1 bedroom with a king-size bed and a bathroom.
Very private.
Yes, very private. It's just for 1 couple. The bathrooms are huge. It has 2 shower heads. Everything is thought out for a couple, 2 people, to fit comfortably. Every room has a Apple TV, Netflix, a wine cellar, a Nespresso machine, and tequila. So
right. Wow. Right. Wait a minute. And tequila.
Yeah, and
good,
a little
Sofia.
tequila
all right.
tasting. So cool. Every room has that. So then we have the beach house, the 2 casitas. So the casitas are practically identical with a little differences in the bathrooms. One has a little garden and the other one has a little patio. It's the only difference. So we have the beach house, the 2 casitas, and then the big villa. So the villa has a master bedroom and a guest bedroom.
Okay.
And it also has a huge living room in the middle. All these 3 rooms basically have an ocean view, and they share a big balcony in the front. And that's the villa. You kind of have to go on some stairs upstairs, and that's where the better view is, I guess, from up top. So
where do people go to eat?
So the pool area is where people lounge. There's a bar, and then there's a whole pool area, a big, huge infinity pool, and a jacuzzi. So there's a hot tub, the pool, and then there's a fire pit for like evening cocktails before dinner. And then you keep going, there's the bathrooms, and then there's an industrial kitchen where our staff works and gets all the service done. Mm-hmm. And right in front of the kitchen, there's kind of an oceanfront area, dining area. So there's a big dining table that sits up to 24 people. And that's where most of our guests have breakfast. Lunch, mostly people like to have it under the palapa near the pool. So it's mostly for breakfast and dinner, the dining table, and then lunch, people kind of lounge around the pool. We bring them some guacamole, some nachos, some coconut shrimp, some ceviche, and they kind of choose to stay around the pool, drinking and lounging. Mm-hmm. And then dinner, they go to their rooms, get ready, and then come back down for a 3-course, delicious La Palapa Vista Grill dinner.
Oh my gosh! Wow. So. What luxury! I mean, that's.
Oh yes.
It just sounds lovely.
Yes.
Now I was wondering about internet, but you said there's Apple TV. Do you have internet connections there?
Yes, we do have internet.
I'm thinking that if you've got corporate guests, they all need to be connected.
We actually originally we thought that people should disconnect, and we weren't going to include Wi-Fi out there because we thought it was going to add to the privacy, the secluded experience. But nowadays, you can't have a resort without Wi-Fi. Honestly, the clients, that would be a deal breaker for a lot of clients because people have to check their emails. People have to be connected to either their work or their families or whoever they have to be connected with. Yeah. So that was definitely a deal breaker. Also, we were thinking about, instead of having cable, having just the option of Netflix with Apple TV or iTunes. So that is kind of a luxurious amenity. So we did get Wi-Fi out there. It's very good Wi-Fi.
It is
Sometimes
good.
I spend the whole weekend there working from my computer and never have a problem. Okay. So the Wi-Fi is very strong. It covers the whole property. And yeah, you can definitely go and work there.
Okay, good.
If you need
That's
to.
important. That's important to
Yes,
travelers.
absolutely.
And I heard about a property that was just like, it was just like totally
Not
without, and I went, I can't do that. I can't do
No,
that.
unfortunately, yeah. Nowadays, it's very important, and I personally, whenever I travel, Wi-Fi is a deal breaker because I have to be constantly connected to my email.
Right. So you got good electricity. You got good
Oh
Wi-Fi.
yes, absolutely.
Now, how do you generate your electricity out there? Do you have generators?
There's,
Do you know?
I believe there is a generator, but there are like just normal
So
cables.
there's lines.
Yeah, absolutely.
you
There's
get-
lines,
Okay.
but we do have a generator in case of
For
during
backup.
the rain. Mostly, there's power outages, so we have to have a generator just to keep it going.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
great.
for safety, yeah.
Sure. Okay, well, you guys, I'm going to have pictures of the property on my website. You can check that out at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com in this episode where I'm talking with Sofia. Is there anything else that I'm missing about the property?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, then let's move on if you don't mind.
No.
Let's talk a little bit about my favorite places, La Palapa and El Dorado and Vista Grill.
Yeah.
What kind of events do you have planned? I know I know that I got an email about a New Year's Eve package.
Yes.
What's going on there?
So this season, holiday season, we do have special menus for Thanksgiving and for Christmas.
Okay.
We have a 4-course meal planned. It's a special menu as well as a reduced a la carte meal. So if you come those days, the Thanksgiving or the 24th or the 25th of December, we have Christmas Eve and Christmas, we have the special menu. You can choose to purchase the special menu, or you can just order a la carte. It's just going to be a reduced a la carte menu, but there is that choice.
Okay.
So for those days, we have a special menu. And for New Year's Eve is very special for us. Every single year we have a huge party. We call it the Beach Bash.
Well, I
The
was
Grupo
looking
La
at-
Palapa Beach Bash.
Yeah.
So the years before, it was only at La Palapa. This year is special because we have the two properties, El Dorado and La Palapa, and we're getting together and we're having one big beach bash.
Cool.
So yeah, we're combining both parties to one huge beach bash. So it's going to be very special. This
Yeah.
year is the first year that we're doing that we're combining both parties. We're going to have a big dance floor in the middle of two properties, and the menu is going to be the same. Both chefs kind of came together and created this wonderful, delicious 5-course meal.
Okay.
And so the party starts at 8 p.m. and it ends at 2 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of
In
partying.
true Mexican fashion.
Yes, of course.
All right.
And you can purchase the tickets beforehand. You choose your table. You basically purchase a table, and you pay your tickets beforehand, and then that table is yours all night. So you can arrive at whatever time you wish, have dinner, and then and enjoy the party. So just real quick, the 5-course meal is a seared scallop is the first course.
Nice.
The second course is a poached apple salad. The third course is a red snapper fillet. The fourth course is a braised short rib. And the dessert is a chocolate trilogy.
Okay.
So imagine having that with your feet in the sand, enjoying the fireworks, because we'll have a fireworks show.
Oh, cool.
We'll have a DJ, a dance floor. We'll have a celebration kit with all the hats and noisemakers and everything to celebrate the new year. We also have a premium open bar included.
Nice.
So everything is taken care of when you purchase your ticket. Tickets start at 3,400 pesos per person.
Okay.
And depending on the location of your table, it kind of goes up. So $3,400 is for the inside of the restaurants. And then the railing of the restaurant is $3,600 per person. And then the beach area is 3,800 pesos per person. And that is all included.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
Yes, it is.
Especially when you got that premium bar and you got the La Palapa El Dorado food going down.
Exactly. It is a very fine dining party, fine, high quality party. We have most of our guests actually are returning customers. They absolutely love this party. It's a party on the beach. You can be barefoot. There is a dance floor, like a wooden dance floor. But most people take their shoes off. They dress really nicely, but then they're barefoot the whole time. But it's a very relaxed, but at the same time, very fine party.
Yeah.
And we're very excited. It's our event of the year, so we prepare for it basically all year, and we're very excited that it's just around the corner.
It sure is, you guys. So make your arrangements and reservations. Definitely come on, and you can do that online. So you
can go to the
it.
website and lapalapapv.com and contact me through there, and I'll give you all the details.
And if you've never been in Puerto Vallarta on New Year's Eve night when the fireworks are going off, I mean, they won't just be going off here at La Palapa, you guys. It's amazing. They know how to celebrate with fireworks here. So check it out. That would be a lot of fun. Now, let me ask you a question. I've had a lot of people ask me about the Vista Grill.
Yes.
Now it's on the beach.
Yes, it
is. And that's what I tell everybody. But I've had a lot of people asking me if there's anything special, anything that's planned for the Vista Grill. Are you always going to be on the beach? Is that going to be the permanent location?
So for now, we are on the beach. This season, we'll definitely be on the beach. You should all check out our new location. It's the same chef, same staff as we had in our previous location. Our previous location, we had a little problem with the building. We're working on it, though. So hopefully we can be open in our original location by maybe next season.
Wow.
So end of next year, we're working on it.
Really? Okay.
Yes, so we do have hope. It's not a for sure thing, but we are working on it. Everything points like it's gonna happen. So, but for now, we are on the beach, and people should give it a try. It's a fantastic food, same chef as we had up there. And, with your toes in the sand. Mm-hmm. So we have live music every night from 7 to 10 p.m. And, you should give it a try. It's really spectacular.
Their old location had a beautiful vista, but this one has a great vista, too.
Yes, absolutely. It's a different vista, but we see the sunset right in front of your eyes. It's right on top of the water. You can see the ocean. You can hear the ocean. You can have your feet in the sand. So it's a very different experience than the old location, but equally as spectacular.
Okay, so that romantic dinner for two that you guys used to do over at El Dorado, are you still doing it at El Dorado?
Yes. So so basically, El Dorado Beach Club operates during the day.
Okay.
On the same location as Vista Grill on the beach. So if you go to El Dorado during the day, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., it's El Dorado Beach Club. It's a beautiful beach club with lounge chairs, with music. You can eat there, you can drink there, spend the day. And then right at 5 p.m., we start setting up for dinner. And that's the Vista Grill on the beach. So it's the same location and two different concepts. So right now we do the romantic dinner on the beach at Vista Grill on the beach. It's a very nice dinner for two, very romantic. We set it up with a walkway on the sand with rose petals and candles, and then a very exclusive, secluded table right next to the ocean with rose petals and a floral arrangement. This comes with a 5-course meal from our chef. He personally makes it for every couple. Every couple gives us their preferences and their restrictions, and he elaborates a personalized menu for each couple. And it can be with a wine pairing or without wine pairing. So it's a very, very nice experience for a proposal, for an anniversary, for a birthday, anything you may want to celebrate while you're in Puerto Vallarta, or you can just celebrate life, a little vacation with your loved one, with your partner. So yeah, it's been very popular lately, and I'm sure this season we're gonna have every day we're gonna have a romantic dinner. So if you come by Vista Grill on the beach, you'll probably see one on the beach.
You'll be able to see it. Now, you want to call ahead for that, right?
Oh, yes, please.
And,
so
you want to give it 24 hours, or how is that?
More than 20, yeah, at least 24 hours, just because we only take 2 romantic dinner reservations per night.
Okay.
So they get booked up. And, yeah, so just call ahead, and the price is 3,900 pesos per couple without wine, and 4,500 pesos per couple with the wine pairing.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, that includes the whole decoration package, the 5-course meal, and the wine pairing. So you pay in advance. You pay a deposit fee of 2,000 pesos beforehand, that to lock in the date. And, yeah, you pay the rest the night of your dinner.
Cool. All right. So keep in mind, don't wait and dilly-dally. If you've got if you got that date already set on your calendar when you're coming to Puerto Vallarta and it's going to be a special night, pick a date, go online, see if it's available, and then lock it in. It's easy to do, and it's so romantic.
It is.
It's so Puerto Vallarta. All right. Let's see. Is there anything I'm missing on what's going on the beach here?
No. Well, just so you know, we are located on Los Muertos Beach. It's just south of the new pier, Los Muertos Pier. So La Palapa and El Dorado / Vista Grill on the beach, they're right next to each other. And, yeah, you should visit both. La Palapa is open breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and El Dorado is lunch, and Vista Grill on the beach is dinner.
Correct. And there is no nicer place to sit down and have a breakfast, by the way, and very reasonably, too. You've got tablecloths on the beach, beautiful stemware, and the service is top-notch. So I sound like a commercial for you guys, but I love you guys so much. All right, let's talk about let's do a little fun things.
Yeah.
Our little fun round that I usually do with people. I know that you're going to say breakfast, lunch, and dinner is great at La Palapa, and it's also terrific at El Dorado. And don't miss the Vista Grill. But what kind of places do you like to eat when you're not eating here?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm here all day long, so sometimes it gets too much for me. So personally, when I kind of leave work and I love to just have a very Mexican experience. I love tacos. I mean, tacos on the street are amazing. But obviously there's so many, so you never know what to choose. My favorite tacos, and maybe it's a lot of people's favorites, but it's Tacos Pancho, and it's right on Basilio Vadillo. Yeah. It's become very popular in the last year, unfortunately. It's very full every day. Yeah, it kind of, the word went out there, so the word got out. Yeah. So. But I love those tacos. I also love, for fine dining, I mean, this is our number one competition, but Café Sartis is awesome as well. We love a friendly competition. We love to go and scope out the competition and what they're doing. And Café Sartis is just a great restaurant for a very fine dining experience. What else? I love Salud Superfoods.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool place.
It's number one on TripAdvisor, and I'm very happy for them. They are fantastic for a light lunch. I love their quinoa bowls. I recently also discovered this ceviche place in Versalles called La Mara.
Oh, I heard about La Mara.
Yeah, I hadn't
right?
been.
It's all
sorry,
raw. It's all raw.
I believe
right?
it's all raw.
Yeah.
It's all ceviches, and they cook in lime. But they're really, really good. I just like 2 days ago, I went and tried them for the first time, and I was very, very impressed. Yeah. So there's also Freddy's or Ocho Tostadas by Freddy's, right next to the stadium.
Yeah,
I love them for fresh seafood. So
you've got some good. You've got some great choices there.
Also around here, there's a seafood place called Lirios.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right in Emiliano Zapata area, very close by. And because I live close by from the restaurants, I kind of scope out the area a lot.
Sure.
And Lirios is also very, very good for seafood.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
We'll check that out too.
Absolutely.
What kind of advice would you give to a first-time traveler to Puerto Vallarta?
Okay, I love this question because a lot of people think that Puerto Vallarta is about the big resorts and going to Nuevo Vallarta or Punta de Mita, even though they're beautiful places as well. That is not really a Puerto Vallarta experience. So I urge you to find a hotel or a Airbnb or a villa closer to town.
La Troza.
Oh,
no, that's far out of town. Okay, but
yeah. But I urge you to kind of get more of the local experience. I'm not from here. I'm from Paraguay, so I really appreciate the kind of the community of Puerto Vallarta, the culture. There's a lot of history here, a lot of culture, a lot of local people that live in downtown. So don't stay in a huge resort. So I just urge you to do that, to kind of stay more in town and get that cultural Mexican experience that Puerto Vallarta is so known for. It's very charming. It's beautiful. The people, get to talk to the people. They're all so friendly, so open. They love to tell you about their experiences. Also, another recommendation is to get to know the south of the bay. The south of the bay is beautiful. It's where La Troza is located. But even if you don't go to La Troza, you can go to Las Animas, you can go to Boca, you can go to Yelapa. Yelapa is a beautiful, beautiful beach down south that you can only get there by boat. It is a longer boat ride, about 30-minute boat ride, but it's totally worth it. I urge you to kind of go off the path and of the resorts and the Nuevo Vallarta and Punta de Mita huge resorts and get the true Mexican Puerto Vallarta experience. I think that's the soul of this destination, and you should visit because of its charm and because of its beautiful people and beautiful food, delicious food, and get a true experience.
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't have said that better myself. I agree with you totally on that. Speaking of like beaches and getaways, what would you say would be your favorite like day trip getaway place?
I love to go to Casitas Maraica. That is actually located right next to La Troza. They have, I think you have either a minimum consumption or a day pass thing, but you can just go and lounge on the beach. It's south. It's next to La Troza, and they have excellent food, and it's just a beautiful location. So that's like a day trip. For a sleepover, I would probably go with Yelapa. So Yelapa has a lot of little apartments, condos that you can go. Yeah, you can go on Airbnb and rent them out for very inexpensive. And there's a bunch of restaurants on the beach that you can eat at, and it's just a very small town feel, like beach village feel. So if you're an adventurous type, I would definitely recommend that, just to go disconnect, and maybe for a weekend or maybe for a night or two, but just get away. And it's a very remote location, and it's gorgeous. Yeah,
so that would be a good idea for someone who wants to maybe just segment off a little bit of their vacation. Say just 2 days. Let's go to a deserted. It's not deserted beach, but let's go to somewhere out of the way for a couple of
remote.
days.
Yeah,
good idea. I like that.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So once again, how do we find the La Palapa, the Vista Grill? We find you online, yes?
Yes, absolutely. We do have, you can either go to www.grupolapalapa.com, and that has a link to all of our businesses. So if you're interested in La Palapa or Vista Grill or El Dorado, we also have a brand new shop, a boutique, right next to El Dorado. It's called Maracuya. And we feature all local Mexican designers and artists. We have art, we have paintings, we have clothing, linen clothing, very high-end, high-quality clothing. We have jewelry, we have shoes, we have bags.
Wow.
It's our motto is kind of beach art and fashion. So we do have a lot of very, very nice things there. So you should check it out also if you're
definitely
around the area. But yeah, you can find us online. Just type in La Palapa restaurant in Puerto Vallarta, or type in Vista Grill restaurant in Puerto Vallarta, El Dorado restaurant in Puerto Vallarta, latroza.com. La Troza is with a Z. And yeah, we're all online. You can read our reviews on TripAdvisor. We can, you can just
you got the Facebook page
out.
Going on too.
Yes, we do have Facebook.
Like Instagram,
we have Instagram.
and,
all of our, all of our businesses.
You are the director of marketing, so I figured you got all
that
nailed, right?
Yes. So we do have Instagram. We have Twitter. We have Facebook. We have websites. So you can just type it in and we're gonna pop up.
All right.
Guaranteed.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Sofia, thank you so much for giving me your time and just allowing me to introduce you and Grupo La Palapa and La Troza to my audience.
Thank you so much, Barry, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right, Sofia, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about La Troza. That's a great place. Wow. If there might be some of you who might be interested in checking that out. So I have all the information for La Troza right there in the show notes for this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. And all that information regarding what's happening at La Palapa and at El Dorado, right there on the beach for New Year's. That happens every year. So just remember, if you're listening to this past 2017, you can plan to come to La Palapa for New Year's anytime. They always have something great happening there, so make sure you do. All right, well, that should do it for this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I have all of the links to everything we talked about in the show. And next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips and great restaurant and excursion ideas and more. And until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com, that's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value-for-value proposition, my friends. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you do it anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were using someone else, so just do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe and give me a good review on iTunes if you would. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So thanks very much to Sofia Boettner of Grupo La Palapa. Thanks so much, Dee, for talking to us and telling us about all what goes on here in Puerto Vallarta during the festivities here. And I want to thank all of you very much for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for all of you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Samba de Puerto Vallarta, Vallarta. Noche de amor junto al mar. Oh, oh, oh. Solo camino, perro por la playa, me encuentro junto al río, cuando todo está en calma, pronto cae la noche, brillas Puerto Vallarta.